we shot for a very, very long day on Rock and Roll High School. And the crowd is the true crowd of LA punks. And after all those hours, there's some rowdiness. And the giant mouse got his lumps during the course of the day. And people would try to slam dance against them. It was a total slam dancing crowd. And they tried to, they slammed into the mouse too many times. And Rob Bottin is in that outfit. It's very hot and he can't see. And Paul Bartel took his lumps and they were trying to push around PJ. It was just your basic LA punk scene of the late 70s, early 80s. So Joey had to make an announcement from the stage to not hurt the actors. And he just said, look, we're only doing a movie here, you know. This isn't a real mosh pit. And that was kind of typical of Joey because he was a sensitive person. And after the movie, when we finished Rock and Roll High School, Joey moved into the Tropicana and lived there because they were making the Phil Spector record. And that's when I spent more time with him. And my wife actually baked him a birthday cake and we celebrated his birthday. And we used to go out and get tacos together. And I once went to a recording session. And that's when we became friends. And we'd talk on the phone. And whenever I came to visit him in New York, he would always, you could not go to Joey's house apartment without getting a gift. He always gave you something, whether it was a sweatshirt or an album he loved, and he would play records for me of bands that he liked. And he turned me on to AC/DC, and he turned me on to a bunch of different records. I could never get into Kiss. But, so it was fun to listen to records with Joey. And there was nothing in this apartment except stacks of CDs everywhere. It'd be like on a couch. So when you sat down, it was like a mountain, a tower that moved. And then you'd go for a walk to get lunch or something. And walking with Joey in the Lower East Side of the East Village is like walking with the Pope in the Vatican. A 2-minute walk takes a half hour because everyone's stopping him and talking to him, et cetera, et cetera. So we stayed really good friends. And when he did a solo record, he wanted to know more about Louis Armstrong because he's going to cover Wonderful World. So I made him a mixtape of Louis Armstrong. We used to make mixtapes and stuff. And I was always in New York in the spring, in May, because of the way the television business works. And so that was when Joey's birthday was. And so I would always be at the birthday bash, or we would go out to dinner with him and his mom, or we'd go out for Indian food. So we were friends, you know, and yet I still was friendly with John because John and I shared a love of horror movies and all of that. And so, and Monty. So I had a relationship with them. Joey and Jerry Garcia are the two musicians where I had the longest relationship with. And I did a movie called Elvis Meets Nixon about the weekend that Elvis went to the White House and met with Nixon. And there's two scenes in it in the back of a limo where Elvis explains who he is. And one scene, Elvis talks about how he did not really plan on all of this, that they were goofing around and they sang It's All Right Mama, and it became a huge thing. And actually all he wanted to do was sing gospel. And that is not unlike conversations I had with Jerry Garcia, where Jerry would talk about, we were just a little psychedelic band. We had never planned on being the biggest selling out of stadiums. We have done nothing to make ourselves more popular. We have broken every rule. And so that was that. And then there was the second scene in the limo. Elvis is talking about how he doesn't get credit for all he's done. And he feels that in some way he's now become forgotten, which is not unlike conversations that I've had with Joey, where Joey would say, you know, I like Green Day, but they're doing Us. And he was really angry that they were never asked to be on Saturday Night Live. And they are the essence of New York. And I thought that was wrong. And how they never got the credit they were due. and they never sold the records that they should have been selling. And really, how hard they worked. You know, you look at end of the century, man, those guys spent years in that van, and they were a disciplined, hardworking band. And he just felt that, well, he passed away and now they're immortal. Now you watch any sports event and they're playing Hey Ho, Let's Go. And their music is accepted as part of the mainstream. I don't think they cared about that. They just wanted to have an audience. And they didn't want to kill themselves to get there. And they wanted to be not treated like a freak show. And I just think they're one of the most important rock and roll bands of all time. So the first weekend that I actually spent time with the Ramones was in New York. And I went to their dressing room and I was introduced to them. And I was surprised that they rehearsed in the dressing room their set to warm up. And then Joey would do these vocal exercises and he would drink this hemotonic, which is some kind of red tonic for his voice. And they were not a band that drugged up or anything before a show, but he was very aware of the health of his voice and stuff. And I thought that was funny. So a lot of stuff that happens in the movie is things that happened in the course of my first weekend with it. So we would take it and we'd exaggerate it. And that's how the hemotonic became the health food and the granola. Another example, Seymour Stein, the head of Sire Records, wanted me to sit down with the band and him and have a dinner. So I go to Seymour's house, apartment on Central Park West, a beautiful apartment, and Seymour has ordered this Italian banquet from one of the best Italian restaurants in the West Side. And the band is late and they show up and I can't wait to eat this incredible pasta and everything. And they come in and John sees that they're having soft-shell crabs and there's no way John's going to eat a crab. And they're looking at all the seafood and that's not it. And finally, Dee Dee says, I thought we was having Italian food. And Seymour says, this is Italian food. He goes, this is not Italian food. Where's the fucking pizza? And that struck a chord. And we literally, with this gorgeous food on the table, had to send out and order pizzas to go for the band.
Oh, that's an awesome story. That's good stuff. Anything else?
No, I'm losing my voice and I got to do another.
Yeah, that was awesome, man.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, thanks, Alan. That's great.